Howdy everybody, Steve here, KM9G. Today we're going to figure out what's going on with the Xiegu X6100 and X6200 Wi-Fi stuff.
It was the best of radios. It was the worst of radios.
Let's get you some detailed information up front about how we're going to go through this process and take it from there. So the first thing is, I'm going to do this as if I was you sitting at the radio, struggling through this pretty much in real time. I'm going to fast forward through some of the boring parts where the radio is just doing its thing. But got to get started somewhere, and I want you to kind of see that this isn't fun for me either. It's just an is. All right, Xiegu knows about this. I do believe that the firmware, the software, not the radio firmware, but the firmware of the embedded single board computer inside of this radio, I do believe that that is all done by somebody outside of the Xiegu company themselves. I don't have any official knowledge of this. I just have that feeling that they're contracting that out, subcontracting that out to somebody else. So they know, Xiegu knows that there's a problem with the Wi-Fi. They know it's not terribly great, but at the same time, it is what it is, and they're working to get it fixed, and we're working to get stuff out to you guys, and that's why videos like this exist. So that's issue number one. Issue number two, only 2.4 gigahertz networks are really supported on this. So if you have one of the new modern routers that doesn't do 2.4 at all, you are never going to get connected. That's not possible. I happen to have a mobile router that does both 2.4 and 5, and I have a cell phone that does 2.4 and 5 and 2.4 or 5 and 5 only. And that all made sense. But 2.4 is the one that works. Mesh networks are not supported. That's a really advanced Wi-Fi thing. If you have mesh, then you probably know about it. Or if you are inside of a network environment at some type of large university or something where you have one Wi-Fi ID for all the buildings or one Wi-Fi ID for all the floors in your company office space or anything like that. And if you're not playing ham radio at your university or your job, then you're doing life wrong. I just have to put that out there. Those are places where you would have mesh. Either A, I know it because I did it myself and I'm smart and why are you watching this video? Or B, I'm in a large corporate environment where things like that, or large university environment where things like that are going to be a possibility. Wi-Fi 6 is not supported at all. Most of your Wi-Fi routers will accept connections from older, more legacy devices like what these radios are presenting themselves as, but Wi-Fi 6 is not currently supported. Most of the special characters in the password don't work. So if you've got a password that's got some really weird special characters or some foreign characters, don't do that. I'll show you later in the video the on-screen keyboard. All the characters you can see on the on-screen keyboard, those are the ones that should work. But if it's not working and you got a special character, create another Wi-Fi network that's got a non-special character. And then sometimes Wi-Fi networks are listed as open, but they aren't really open. So if it says it's open and you try to connect to it and on a regular computer or phone and it asks you for a password, then it's not open. Don't connect to an open network on this radio anyway, because it has a unpatched, infrequently updated operating system on it, and a well-known password. DHCP sometimes causes issues. DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, which is how your router tells your radio what IP address to use. It's really advanced networking stuff. If it doesn't work and you don't get an IP address, turn off DHCP on the radio and type in a manual address. Look at one of the ones on your network already, one of your machines on your network already, and basically clone its settings. That's kind of an advanced thing beyond this. Gets into TCP IP networking, and if you are that far down the path, heaven help you. Honestly, I don't know if it's the best or the worst, or the best or the worst, or they're just the best of the worst or the worst of the best, but what really matters here is that they're fun and they're affordable and they do the right amount of radio stuff and have a bunch of extra things you can play with and tinker with. That's the way I look at it. I have done lots of park activations on both of these radios. I've probably put 2,000 or 3,000 contacts through this radio alone without really having any issues. So don't worry about any of those kinds of things. What we really need to worry about is that the manufacturer listens and they've made some updates. I've shown in previous videos how to do firmware updates on both of these radios. Today we're going to try and see if the Wi-Fi is improved any. So the first thing I've got to do is get my firmware update done, and then we'll come back and we'll go through some Wi-Fi configuration and some troubleshooting and some gotchas and some tips on how to get your Wi-Fi connection to be a little bit better. So before we get too far into this, I want to go to Radiatity's website and check on what the current version of the firmware is to kind of put a date on when this video applies. So anytime after those dates until the next dates is when this applies. Probably to all future dates as well, but can only put so much of a timestamp on a video. Go to Radiatity's website, click on support at the top right corner, click on Xiegu, click on the radio that you're interested in. This is the Xiegu X6100 as an example, and as of the time of this recording, 9/23/2024 is the current for the 6100, and January 15th, 2025 is the current for the 6200.
Oh yeah, at the very least, remember that the Xiegu firmware update on the 6100, 6200, and a couple of other radios is actually a two-part process. So do the first part with the SD card, and then from inside of the front panel operator position of the radio, hi radio, do the second part of the firmware update. Don't forget that. So step one is I am using a 2.4 gigahertz mobile hotspot as my Wi-Fi access point. This is kind of important because these radios are happier at 2.4. So if you're not running 2.4, start there. Enable 2.4. Another important thing you can see here is my password. They do not have the ability to enter special characters. So double check, we'll get into it a little bit further. You can see the character set that you're allowed in the on-screen keyboard, but make sure that your Wi-Fi hotspot doesn't have any special characters in the password. So mine is Xiegu, and the password is 8 ones. Let's get that out of the way and let's get into working on the radio. Is this going to work at a good viewing angle for you and me together? So we want to go into System and then rotate over to WLAN and then Wi-Fi switch. This is the 6200 that we're working on now, just in case you haven't seen one of these before. And we're turning it on and it has scanned for all of the Wi-Fi in the area. I'm going to try my best to get down to where it says, see, there's no easy way to get over there, which is problem number one. So let's hit config. Nope, I don't want to use Living Wibble. I want to use the Xiegu network. I'm going to share all of the frustrations with you as we go along through here. Toggle, toggle. That's not what I want. I do want DHCP. Config, config. Yeah, see, there's no easy way to do this. So next up, in order to save you many frustration-free hours, I'm going to take a Logitech keyboard and mouse combination, and I'm going to plug it in that way instead. So on the side of this, you want to plug it into the, I think it's the host port, but we're going to find out real quick. Yep, it's the host port. You'll know right away when you plug it in and it doesn't actually plug in. So I'm going to click on Xiegu, and now I've picked the Xiegu network. But look at that, it doesn't change over here. So let's hit config button. There we go, now we're on Xiegu. And I could have hit config over here with the mouse. Okay, so plug in mouse and keyboard, highlight the one you want, hit the config button to change the configuration, and then over here I want it to auto connect, and I'll show you what that means. When you boot up, it's going to give you a little extra message. I do want it to be DHCP, and I want the password to be 8 ones. There's a little bit of lag there. Did that actually work? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, now let's try and hit the connect button. And it says that we're connected. Let's see over here if we are actually connected. Okay. Let's exit out of here, exit out of here. And I don't see the Wi-Fi icon anywhere on the screen. System. WLAN. And it turned itself off. So let's do Xiegu, and let's hit config, and then password again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let's hit connect. And it doesn't say that it's on or off. No information whatsoever. Nothing. System. WLAN. Xiegu. Config. Auto connect. Password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then connect. All right, I changed some settings on my phone. Let's see if it's a Xiegu fault or a phone fault. Connect. Didn't look like it changed anything. Let's double check. Nope, no changes on the screen. Interesting. Settings. WLAN. Xiegu. Connect. I don't know why I did that. Let's config the Xiegu connection. Wi-Fi switch is on. Config SSID, auto connect, DHCP, password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's going to try to connect again. Now we're going to exit all the way, and you see that it's still not there. We're going to turn it off and reboot, and I'll show you that thing I was telling you about earlier. All right, she's fully off. I guess I can't show you that. Nope, there it is. So this power on init message is actually the radio trying to connect to the Wi-Fi or the Bluetooth. And it didn't actually connect. Wi-Fi power on, it should have already been on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that's the right amount of characters in the password. Connect. All right, now let's replace the 6200, which completely failed, with the 6100. And we're going to have high hopes that this one's going to work without the keyboard. So same thing. System setting, scroll over to WLAN, push the multifunction knob, hit the Wi-Fi switch button to turn Wi-Fi on, hit the Wi-Fi switch button to turn Wi-Fi on again because it didn't work the first time. And this interface looks a lot like the X6200. Perhaps they're sharing software between them. And it says it is connected. So, and then it says scanning at the top. We'll wait for it to stop saying scanning. Okay. Hit config, which should show us the config. It doesn't show any user ID. All right, at the top of the screen, you might not be able to read this, but it says the MAC address, the moves, add, changes address of the device, the internal Wi-Fi card. So 8AC8 is the last one. So I'm looking over here, 8AC8. It says we are connected. And my connection strength is good. Doesn't know anything about its device numbers, names, equipment, which is fine, it shouldn't. But what I'm looking for is what is its IP address? It doesn't have one. And you can see it's set for DHCP. So for some reason it didn't ask for a DHCP address. So let's go back to the mobile hotspot settings. Our mobile hotspot is turned on. It's scanning, it should find it here in a second. It did. On this one here I'm able to rotate down and pick Xiegu, so I'm going to hit config on Xiegu. Yeah, and now I can get over here and put in my password. So what I'll show you is these are all the characters and all of the special characters that you can use in your password. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ones. I'm going to hit close and see if that saves it, because it doesn't actually say, like, save. Okay, good. No way to do that. So let's disconnect, which should disconnect me from my living mobile. And I'm going to hit connect, which should connect me to the Xiegu network, which is the hotspot on the phone. I didn't get like a big, huge, hey, you're connected message. Exit, exit. Yeah, I don't see any indication that I'm connected still. Config. Keyboard, characters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Close. It did save it. Let's exit instead of connect. Since I'm supposed to be able to save it, it's set on auto connect and Wi-Fi is on. Exit, exit. It should not be on now. Let's reboot. If we give it a couple of seconds, it should automatically pick. There it is. That's the power on in it, which is starting up the Wi-Fi. I do have a Wi-Fi signal in the corner. Okay, so I just did some checking. The Wi-Fi icon is gone from over here. I connected my laptop over, so that's what this device here is. This is my laptop that's connected to my cell phone for a hotspot. So that is the right screen to show connected devices. Let's go back into WLAN. And we have to turn it on, even though it already was on and it already was connected. It now needs to connect again. And this should already be configured, so I'm going to hit connect. And we're going to try to connect to the thing that I had auto connect set on. No change. Let's hit config. Auto connect is on. And this is going to be a lot easier with the keyboard again. So into the host port we go. We now have a keyboard and mouse. I'm going to toggle DHCP and I'm going to put in my password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I've got all this set up to auto DHCP. My password is in. I'm going to hit exit to get out. Did it save it? No, of course it didn't seem to save it. Let's double check. There we go. Let's config. Oh, Air Force One is flying overhead. Yep, it lost its mind. Auto connect, DHCP, password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's connect. It says connected. It shows up that it's connected. Excellent. Let's exit. Exit. We have a Wi-Fi icon in the corner. Excellent. Let's reboot. And during this reboot process, it should automatically reconnect. We show that it's disconnected here. Not a surprise since it's turned off. Wait for it. Power on in it. It should connect and stay connected. It says it's connected. It says it's connected. We appear to be connected. Okay, excellent. So this radio is happy and connected with the latest version of the firmware on it. And let's go into system settings. You see this WF server? This is where you want to have the Wi-Fi set up. This is the reason why you want to do it, is for this WF server. We'll make a separate video on this later on, but this is WF View, which enables you to remote control the radio and do wireless things like FT8. So let's exit out of there, because that's not what this video is about. Exit out of there. We're still connected. We are still connected. Okay, good. I'm going to leave this radio connected. We're going to try this one again, because I am a glutton for punishment. Plug my keyboard and mouse in also. I mean, they're right here. Why not use them? System. Oh, see, now it's trying to turn it on. Is it going to work? WLAN. It didn't actually connect. Still no way to get over there besides the keyboard and mouse. So, Xiegu, and then config. It did save the configuration. Why didn't we connect? Let's hit connect. It says connected. It lies. This says connected. This says still connecting. This says you are connected. Ooh, finally, we have an update. Exit. Exit. We have a Wi-Fi icon in the corner. Okay, excellent. So play with it enough times to get it working, and it will finally work for you. The major deal here with the cell phone as the hotspot is 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi only. So we're still connected, and it's the same thing. You have this WF server deal here, which allows you to remote control the radio. There's one more thing I want to show you though. When you are connecting to the machine over serial, well, you want to use that dev port because it's going to be a device. And then this host is for hosting devices like keyboards and mice. All right, a long time ago, I showed you guys all about how to connect to the radio over serial. You can't connect to it over Wi-Fi via SSH because you don't have SSH working yet. So let's connect to it over serial, and I'll show you some stuff that we need to do at the command line. If none of that other stuff that we did before actually worked for you, this is your trick. So I'm going to go over here, SSH up to... This is the box that is attached to the screen behind me, and I am remote controlling that. Let's clear the screen over there. And then we need to connect to the device over serial. So in order to do that, we need to set some parameters for our serial port. And first we need to figure out what serial port we're on. So I've already plugged it in to the machine. So it should be the last thing. So there's audio. Okay, so we have ACM 0 and ACM 1. And I know this just because I've done this enough times and now I'm sharing it with you. USB dual serial then becomes ACM 0 and ACM 1 are your two serial ports. Okay, so I'm going to use ACM 0. And what I need to do is I need to tell the Linux computer behind me that the file descriptor -f of dev tty ACM 0, which is the port that we figured out was the serial port, has parameters of CS8 and parenb. And these things, they mean like no stop bits, data bits of 1, 8 bits per whatever. It's stuff that means stuff in the serial world, and once you know it, and then you write it down and you don't have to worry about it again. So we have now set that up, and I don't have the right permissions, so we need to sudo that. Okay, excellent. Linux is so cool, it tells you what you did wrong. Sometimes it tells you and then you have to go hunt down and figure out where it tells you, but usually it does tell you. And next, I'm going to use a tool called Screen. There are many better terminal emulators out there besides Screen. Screen just happens to be installed by default on most Linux machines. And since it needs to be run as root, I went ahead and did sudo -i, which gives me a root shell, an interactive -i shell. And there is my command. So I don't need to do sudo screen, I can just do screen. You can do sudo screen if you don't want to become root. You just want to do root for this one thing. Just showing you a different way to do it.
Again, that same port, that same file descriptor, everything in Linux is a file, /dev/tty/acm0, and the speed is 115/200, which is the fastest speed that old-fashioned DOS-based serial ports can do. Poof. And you get this blank screen. The screen is blank because the two haven't communicated with each other other than to make this connection. And so you need to push a key on the keyboard. And, now I can see that I pushed the number 1 and the 1 came back, so I am connected, but I still don't know what state I'm in. Technically, I know what's on the screen of the radio because I've done this a lot of times before. It's actually saying something like, what's your username? But if I press enter, it's going to ask me my password because I pressed enter without a username. This isn't going to work. I'm going to press enter again. It's going to give me some kind of timeout to make sure I'm not trying to hack into the radio, which I am. And now this right here is actually what the radio said that you couldn't see. It's a byproduct of terminals. It's a bygone era. It's just the way things worked. But it's fun to tinker with this old stuff. So it's asking me for my login. My login is root because let's not create user accounts on this and make this stuff publicly known to the world and enable this as an open radio that people can tinker and play with. Come on, radio manufacturers, get with it. Username's root. Password is 123. Super secret password. And now I am logged in as root. I have control of the radio. Now this is where it gets to be a little more advanced. And I'm connected to the 6200, as you can see by my prompt, but it works the same on the 6100 or the 6200. And we need to go to the following folder, cd for change directory, /edc, etc., where we keep all of the etc. files, /NetworkManager, /system connections. And I'll keep notes for all of this stuff down in the description below. Just, kind of sit back, relax, enjoy, watch. And then if you want to do this yourself, there's notes in the description below for you. Now, this is where it gets ugly. There's some files in here. These are all of the different connections. So let's look at the one for the Xiegu connection that we had set up. Cat means take parameter 1 and parameter 2 and concatenate them together. That's cat is short for concatenate. And since I'm not going to give it a parameter 2, it's just going to drop it out to the screen. It's going to take the first file and add it to the second file, which is the screen. So you get to see it. And so it's showing you your password in plain text. It's showing you what kind of security to use, IPv4. I don't have any DNS stuff programmed to override the DHCP settings, so I'm going to use the ones that the router gives to me. I don't have any blacklists. There's a bunch of stuff you can do here. This is basic Linux stuff. If you want more information on this, look up Linux Network Manager System Connections as keywords in Google, and you'll get a ton of information. So we have called this Xiegu. It is a Wi-Fi. It is running WLAN 0, which is the name of the file descriptor for the Wi-Fi adapter inside of the machine. It's in mode infrastructure. Its SSID is Xiegu, like we said. Its password is 8 ones, and it's using the WPA PSK pre-shared key. WPA is, I forget what WPA stands for. Look it up if it bothers you. It doesn't bother me enough to look it up. So that's it. So what we need to do is wipe all this stuff out. What is con 1? See this curiosity. Curiosity gets you every time. It looks like an empty configuration. Oh, Ethernet. Oh, that's pretty cool. All right, so I am saving the contents of this file on this screen in this video for any future reference because we're going to wipe this out. But if you plug in a USB Ethernet adapter, then this thing here will pop right up as long as that Ethernet adapter is supported by Linux and shows up as ETH0, and it will have an IP address of 192.168.3.60. So there's another way to get into this if you can't get into it over Wi-Fi. That's pretty cool. All right, so let's remove these. RM star. And I'm not doing any crazy other stuff right now. Great. In Linux, if you don't get any response back, which I typed in the command, I pressed enter, and I got a command prompt back. 0 response back. What that does for you is tell you that it was successful. Otherwise, it would complain. So let's look in the folder with ls, which is list stuff in my mind, and the folder is empty. Great. Now I'm going to do sudo shut. I'm already sudo. Now I'm going to do shut down now, which should turn the radio off, and then I can move it back to the camera, get the camera all reset, and we're good to go again. Oh, shut down now command's not found. How about we reboot it? Ah, the reboot works. Okay, let's get back over to the workbench. All right, we just booted it back up. It didn't give me that power on message that it gave me because it wasn't trying to initialize Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. I don't have a Wi-Fi icon in the corner.
The X6100 is still connected, but the X6200 says disconnected down here. So now let's get in here. I need my mouse and keyboard back. And the mouse is active and happy. Let's get down here and do system, WLAN. I'm going to pick Xiegu. I'm going to hit config. And I wiped that out and it still remembered it. That stinks. Okay, well, I'm going to try and connect to it right away, but I think we need to go back and try one more time. Connect. And it did the thing where it acted like it was connected quickly, but it actually wasn't connected. That was a very long time to watch it try to connect to see that it isn't connected. It just tried that all by itself. And that time it did connect. Exit, exit, and we show the connection at the top corner there.
Okay, that was fun. Not really, but I'd like to think it was fun anyway. I'm back over on the computer. I have the radio hooked back up again. It should have, I don't need that microphone on. It should have done some magic when we did that config thing. So I'm going to go back up and reconnect over screen. See how it's got that blank screen again? It's because we weren't there. If you have this thing plugged in and you have screen up and running, when you turn the radio on, you'll see all of the boot messages come up and you will see that login screen. But I know what it's asking me for because I have a good memory. Type in root, it's going to ask me for my password. 1, 2, 3. I am now. Oh, there must have been some junk on there. The Xiegu radio tried to outsmart me. I'm still on the 6200. Let's get into that folder again. You can just press the up arrow a couple of times until you get to that. Poof, there we go. And that's the only file that's there. I showed you the directory was empty. I rebooted, it still remembered the password. That password is stored somewhere else. There's something else going on there behind the scenes that we don't know about. That's strange. I did a reboot. So I gracefully shut down the file system, saved everything, blah, 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 brought it all back up. It should have been fine, but it wasn't. Okay, that was really fun for certain definitions of the word fun. I guess it doesn't have to be fun, or it doesn't have to be fun when you're doing it, but once you get it done, it should be done. And if it ever screws up again, come back to this video, watch it again, go through the process, and it is just a little bit of just patience and pushing buttons over and over again that gets you through. We showed you a couple of different ways to do it. Using an external mouse and keyboard makes it a lot easier. I will have links in the description down below for that. If you don't have this radio and you want one, I have links for that down below with a $15 off coupon. Every little bit helps, doesn't it? They are fun radios. There are a lot of things that they can do, and they do radio just fine. It's where they're trying to be bleeding edge, which as ham radio operators, we're supposed to be experimenting with things, right? I'm kind of enjoying it for that purpose. I'm not making a recommendation for anything other than if you like to hack on radios, this is the one because it's got Linux embedded in it, and there's a lot of cool things that you can do with this radio, and it's fun. So I kind of don't really ever say I like things, but I actually do like this radio because it is that kind of fun. I've had a lot of fun with it, and sometimes you get more than just radio enjoyment out of it. I get radio enjoyment, I get hacking enjoyment, I get video making enjoyment, I get comments on the video like this one here where you guys have said that you've enjoyed it or this video that I've made for you has helped you, and that's amazing. If you want to see more videos about hacking on radios and fixing things that should be fixed in the first place, then this is the channel for you. Hit that subscribe button. It is right below the video here. It's free, doesn't cost you a dime, and it makes me happy. It makes me create more videos for you. And that's what this whole circle of life is all about. And if none of this stuff makes you happy, then there's another video right over here that you might like next. Thanks for being awesome. I'll see you over there.